and welcome to the Hot Rod Hangout podcast. This will be our first episode. I'm Matt.
And I'm Ashley.
And I'm Caden.
And this is just kind of slinging it in the air and hoping something sticks. We're just some younger generation that's trying to keep hot rodding alive. We're going to talk about shows that we go to, stuff we're working on, cars that we buy, cars that we go look at. So I guess we'll ask the common questions that are come up. Caden, what got you into this car hobby?
You know, I really don't know because most of my family isn't much car people. I mean, I went to free show stuff that come with the festival or a fair or something in town, but I've never actually, never had family that worked on anything, never built any, never hot rodded.
Okay.
Most of my family change the oil when the car tells it to and get gas when the light says to.
All right.
So, yeah.
The wretched gaslight.
Hey,
Oh, don't get them started.
every light on the dash is on.
As long as it's not flashing.
Hey. So, Ashley, what got you into the car hobby?
Well, mainly you. Granted, all the way growing up, I always wanted to be in the garage, but classic sexism. I was told to go inside. And then I became a tool bitch. And then I met you. And you were handing me those tools and got me started wrenching on stuff. And yeah, so you introduced me to a whole world of car shows and races and working on shit. And yeah.
I think I got pretty much everybody at the table more interested in the car scene. But, so what got me started was I grew up in a hot rod family, drag cars, race cars, classic cars, just like every hot rodder or a lot of hot rodders started with that 97-cent Hot Wheel and, stuff like that. Mainly into, basically just drive your shit. I don't care what it is. We like everything. Some things we like more. Not a big fan of the squatted shit, but if that's what's going to get a young kid interested in this,
Honestly.
it's a hobby.
You're going to appreciate good work no matter what it is.
Right. So, Caden, what is, if money wasn't an object, which we all know it is, what would be your car?
Got her thinking.
See, that's a hard one because I have different cars for different eras.
Okay.
So if I were to pick something like late 60s, early 70s, for whatever reason, and I know they're ugly as sin, I know you don't like them,
Okay.
but a Buick Riviera boat tail.
I can
Like a
appreciate
69
a clean
or a
boat
70 boat tail. I don't exactly know why. I think it's kind of the weird where it kind of looks like a 60s Corvette with that sloping rear, the rear glass.
Kind of got the Stingray ass in.
Kind of got the Stingray, and then it's got the giant Buick front end. It's kind of like, almost like a big Lincoln-looking front end, forward slanting, 4 big headlights. If they happen to fold or pocket or whatever, I am all for it. But that especially for that era, that's where I would start. They're so hard to come by now. I had a neighbor that had one. I thought it was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen. And then I grew up a few years.
All right. So, you said that you like other years. So,
60s. 60s, I don't know why recently, but it's been the Galaxies.
Okay.
Fastback, four-door, I don't care. It's just been the stacked headlights. In like the 65 to 68 Galaxies for whatever reason.
All right. And, you into like the 50s or
50s.
Model A's?
Apaches. 3100 Apaches and those sorts. The trucks from the 50s, definitely.
Okay.
Which are getting harder and harder to come by.
For any amount of money.
That is, yeah.
All right. So, Ashley.
Oh, boy.
No pressure.
Money wasn't an option. you know.
If money wasn't an option, I'd have to say 63 to 66 C10.
Okay.
Just not in the Tiffany blue color that you see
Come on,
everywhere.
that's the only color.
Okay, but when you pull up to a car show, that's all you see.
That's true. That is true.
I mean, I'd rock a hot pink before I did the Tiffany blue.
Oh, no. Ooh, okay.
It's okay if it's pink. It's just got to be fast.
True,
Or cool.
true.
Yeah, but
All right.
you want to be able to pick it out of a
That rose
pick it out
gold
at a car.
color.
Okay, so you said 63 to 66 C10. Well, 60 to 62 also has the same body line, so why do you not like that car?
I guess probably because of the front suspension.
Yeah, it's got garbage front suspension, and you can't bag them. So
You can't back those years? What's different? I'd see.
it's got torsion bars instead of.
Oh.
So I mean, you can. 60 all C10 suspension will bolt under. It's the same bolts,
Yeah.
but makes it a little more challenging.
But that's where you come in because I don't know anything about that.
See, I wouldn't have known that. I'm so green to those little nuance things of like, oh,
Yeah.
these look exactly the same, but these 2 years are better than these 3 years
The
because
early 60s C10s also have a different hood. The early 60s looks like that you could, like they look like stuff's missing because they got the wide mouth.
What year are the ones that have like the 2 O's at the top?
That's it.
That's that one. Okay.
60 to 62.
Oh,
63 also. All right. So
Well, what about you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, you asking
So,
big questions. You got to answer
I
them.
currently have a 54 that's semi mine. It's a 54 210 two-door Survivor car, original paint, original motor, swapped a 5-speed into it. And then I'm currently building a 32 Model B truck. When it gets done, there's big plans for that. You can see pictures of what it started as on Instagram. And the 54 will, if it doesn't sell before we get done with the 32, it'll probably get built for Ashley if she wants it. Unless I can find somebody that wants to trade me a Model A coupe or a sedan for a Harley and a 54 Chevy. All right, so
I want to ask a question.
okay, go for it.
Okay, so you said if she wants it to do what she wants to it, what would you do differently to it? What would you
question.
change?
Well, one thing right now it needs to be an automatic because I can't drive that thing
That's fair.
at
That's
all. And I would probably do a reupholster of the seats, and because they have the Mexican blankets on there, but I would reupholster it with Mexican blankets.
fair. Like properly do it.
Yes,
with,
properly
like,
done, not just thrown on
Not
the
just thrown over.
thrown on the seats.
That is that interior really needs to be made like a real thing. Like you see everybody do it. Just
Yeah.
drape it over and go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, underneath needs a little bit of work. When you lift up those blankets, they need a little bit of love and attention and a little bit more cushion. But the seats definitely would need to be done automatic and probably just like a semi-gloss or matte clear coat to save what's left of it, because we're gonna keep it
Stop the rut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep it slightly rowdy looking.
Hey, you can drive it. You don't have to worry about it in a parking lot.
Yeah.
That is very true. So, Caden, I know you don't have a lot of exposure with drag racing or big shows, but you recently went to a Cletus McFarlane event.
I did. That was something else.
He's living the car guy dream, hanging out and
to say the
having
least.
fun with his friends.
That's the guy you ask if he has an unlimited budget, because he is the unlimited budget.
Yes. I want to be his
Especially-
friend.
Especially when his
Honestly.
brother accidentally leaves a Hellcat at his garage and he does burnouts in front of said garage.
And then rips the doors off of it.
and then rips the doors off of it. Yeah.
This is an
That's the
episode.
new video.
That's the new video. Oh.
Yeah.
But when you can do that and not have a worry, and then call up your brother and be like, "Hey, you were gonna sell that, right?"
I just want to know who his insurance carrier is.
Probably self-insured.
You think?
It's gotta be.
I
With the
guess.
planes, trains, automobiles.
That's the only thing he doesn't done yet is a train.
I mean,
Are we
jet
sure?
boats.
We didn't know he could fly planes until he was up in the air
Planes and helicopters.
and helicopters.
That's the crazy part. He's just like he's doing all the GTA side quests.
So, Ashley, what, you have been to car shows because of me. What is one moment that sticks out that was kind of like, I'm hooked. I have to continue in this.
Well, Caden was driving behind us first and foremost. Yeah. The Marion County.
I forgot about that show.
What
Market
is
of
it?
Marion.
Market of Marion. As we were pulling up, getting ready to turn in to the parking lot, this random dude from inside the car show whipped around and started taking pictures of us as we were driving in. And I mean, who doesn't want that?
That's a good feeling.
Usually I'm on that side, amateur, but usually I'm the one taking pictures, and for somebody else to take pictures of us cruising in was pretty awesome.
Yeah, there's something about the shakes, rattles, noises of an old car, wondering if you're going to make it. Just, makes your heart happy. The 54 has came a long way. And everyone at the table has had quite an experience with that car. Me and Caden took it for a maiden voyage, and unfortunately, he had to get out of the car to make it down the driveway because it was a little. It was a lot of low.
We were grading that driveway.
At least it made it home.
That's true.
And then,
He didn't do so bad leaving.
Well, just
the first trip that Ashley ever rode in the car.
now, mind you, we did cruise. Technically, the second, because we did cruise around the block briefly when we went to go pick it up because we wanted to make sure it ran. But the first actual, hey babe, let's go for a ride.
So, I'm like, hey, we have two fuel gauges. One says full, one says empty. So it's somewhere in the middle.
That's my favorite part.
We just go with, you probably need gas. Fill it up before you leave. So I was like, hey, let's, run up to the gas station and, we'll throw some fuel in it and you get a little cruise in and, cause I had bought it and, we were kind of trying to tweak a little bit of stuff on it. And, so we made it about a mile from the house on the way back. It drove there fine. Got gas. Everybody's giving you the thumbs up and the cool. And so we're coming down the road, and it starts running like absolute dog shit. And I'm like, well, what? Just try to make it home. And it dies at a stop sign about a mile from our house. And come to find out, it needs battery voltage to run. Yeah. The alternator was garbage, so we proceeded to push it in the rain across the main road.
Really?
Yeah, it was right here at 48.
Oh, wow.
Or 476.
And then trying to come down our dirt road.
Yeah.
There's divots.
Is that
And
what you call them?
yeah. So we had to like
Little bit of
nudge the
holes.
car back and then shove it over the
Keep hoeing over.
yes.
So it was an adventure.
It's a workout.
And at that time, we were doing everything in the grass or dirt of our yard because we recently bought a house and it does not still have a garage, carport, concrete, well, it does have a concrete pad now. We're waiting for the building. We finally got the date on that. And I'll be able to actually start working on the 32 a little bit harder and disappear other than, work and podcast and building that truck. And that truck, when it gets done, probably will be the truck that, perpetually not for sale. It would cost a lot of money to get that truck. Wasn't really planning on buying the truck, but it was too good of a deal. Just like every hot rodder understands, you have the money and all of a sudden deals come your way that you probably shouldn't buy, but
It's you have the money you shouldn't spend is when they all start popping up.
Yeah, that's what I said. But fortunately, everything worked out and we acquired the money to build the building, even though some of that money was spent prior to getting this. But so we've been staring at a concrete pad for about 4 months now, and they finally called to say that they're going to build a building, which is awesome. And it will be in our front yard. Yes, front.
That was a debacle in and of itself, was figuring out where to put it.
Yes. So our property isn't very big, and that's kind of what this, we're going to try to go through this with y'all, and that's kind of what we're telling you is you don't have to have a fancy shop. You don't have to have fancy tools. Yes, it's nice, but you don't have to have all that. So, and if you'll notice a trend with most of the vehicles that I talk about, and Ashley by proxy, everything is lower than whale shit. Besides my daily.
Yeah, you make up for it with that.
So I daily drive a 14 Ram Cummins on 38s, roughly 8 inches of lift. Ashley has
We won't talk about that.
Ashley has a mom car, even though we don't have kids. And Caden, what do you daily?
I daily a 2015 Toyota 4Runner.
Hell
That's
yeah.
not quite as tall as yours, but it's tall enough.
You're creeping up.
I'm creeping up. It's funny. I have a stool in the back of it now because I took the running boards off because I didn't like the look, and I hated stepping over them. So I have a stool now because the rest of my family is vertically challenged. So I went to Harbor Freight and got one of those.
He doesn't put the stool down for me though.
No.
He makes me jump in and out of it.
That's because my ride height is where your steps start.
That's pretty true.
So yeah, there's a little folding stool because my mom's like 5 foot tall, my granddad's like 5 foot tall.
Oh, jeez.
My aunt is like 5'2". So getting in for them is like getting on a horse or climbing a small mountain.
So I know that, there's a lot of shows coming up, and Ashley, we have a schedule full. We're going to try to make a couple out-of-state shows this year. Is there any car-related, whether it's a show, a race, a Cletus event? Couldn't really call them races. They're kind of everything and anything.
It's weird. I was expecting it to be more of a car show when I went.
Yeah. So, is there anything you're looking forward towards for, next year or?
I mean, automotive related. I'm going to, this isn't really car show, but I'm going to the 500 in Daytona, but I really do want to try and make it to Turkey this year at least one day.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about maybe going to the Mecum auction in 2 weeks down in Kissimmee.
Yeah, January 13th.
Something like that, yeah.
January 8th to the 14th.
Something like that.
So,
but I don't know nearly as I don't have a schedule like y'all's or nowhere anywhere near as many as y'all do.
We might need to add on one more.
Oh,
I mean, they're free tickets.
it's a good start.
to where?
Gator Nationals.
How are you getting Gator tickets for free?
It's for Friday, but remember,
And how many?
I don't know yet. But I told him that.
You need at least 5.
Okay. Because
If we're going to go, because obviously I would like to watch Caden's reaction when the oxygen pulled out of her.
Well, last year we had gone to Gator, and I went back to work, and I was still burnt from going to Gator, and a customer came in, and he was driving this clean classic car. I don't even remember what it was because it was so long ago. And he came in, and I was like, oh, nice car. And he's like, oh, yeah, I drive this and I go racing and whatnot. And I was like, oh, I just went to Gator. And he's like, well, I get free tickets. That little old black man that I was telling you about.
Why does he gotta be black?
Because that's how I describe everybody. But he came in today, and he's like, I didn't forget. I'm going to get you some, but they're the Friday tickets. They're not Saturday or Sunday. But.
Well, we might could take some days off.
Yeah.
So,
When is Gator?
March.
Yeah, and we already have.
Yeah, our March is
March
pretty
is
packed
full.
up, but hey, we could figure it out maybe. Actually, no, you can't get that Friday off. We were talking about that. That's the week that one of your coworkers is arguing for.
That's if I'm still there.
That's true. But anyway,
At this
so
point.
More to come.
what show have we been to, or one that you're looking forward to going to, or a couple that you're looking forward to going to, or
Well,
fuck car show?
obviously, I love turkey. I mean, we went last year for a day, and it was not enough. And then we went for 2.5-ish days this time, and it was still not enough, I don't think.
Yeah. So, just so everybody that's not local to Florida or Daytona, turkey that we reference is Turkey Rod Run. We always go for Thanksgiving. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday show, car show, corral, swap meet. Ashley collects hubcaps, so she got to get a new hubcap.
I made the first purchased one. We already had one from a previous vehicle, but
Yeah,
I purchased. It's right there.
I got some parts for the motor for the 32. So obviously turkey.
Yeah, turkey. I think just because of how big it is and how awesome everybody is there, because it is such a variety of old, new, used, rat, restored. So everybody kind of just has a general appreciation for everybody else. And then of course the night shows and whatnot, they're pretty badass. The one thing I am looking forward to is, as long as we can make it, and we should, is the reliability run. I think that'll be pretty badass.
I definitely want to make that in the 32. The gentleman that I bought the 32 from puts on a reliability run for pre-65, I believe.
Yeah.
It's like they have a couple stops and breakfast, and it's just about cruising your hot rod, and you know, I dig that more than anything. Like, I don't care how nice of a car it is, but if you pull it here on a trailer and unload it and roll it to the, you know, to your concrete pad, and like, these cars are meant to be driven, they're meant to be enjoyed. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one with you.
And was it one of the years, didn't they end up at Don Garlett's
Last year,
drag race museum?
Yeah, last year one of the stops was the Don Garlett's Museum,
which we've passed hundreds of times going up to Ocala area, and I would love to see the inside of it. We got a glimpse at it
in the
was
video.
well, no, was it Gator that they had? He had brought up.
Yeah, he always brings cars because
Yeah.
you know, Big Daddy Don Garlett's obviously legendary drag racer, innovator.
So we got to see some of his cars there, but I would like to walk through the museum because we've seen videos of it, but nothing in person.
Well, we don't have a vehicle that. Oh, I guess my Dodge. That's Dodge. It's a Mopar.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's what he means when he says Mopar or no car, but hey, maybe.
Deep down somewhere.
So definitely looking forward to Turkey in November. Definitely looking forward to Reliability Run, and I also want to have the gentleman that puts that on the podcast at one of these times. And when I say that, we're gonna try to have people that, you know, they're local guys. They're out driving they're driving their shit. They're working on it. You know, it's not perfect, but it's perfectly imperfect. It you know, it does the job. It sounds good. It looks good, and they're happy with it. It doesn't have to necessarily fit. You know, it's not a checklist build. You know, it's not 100 point. You ain't out there rubbing shoe polish on your white walls to make them look better, or, you know, put Armor All in your tire nipples as you're rolling it out of your climate controlled trailer. And all of those cars have a place. I mean, I appreciate the look of them, but I'd much rather watch that guy do a burnout with it when he's leaving, and, you know, hell yeah, grabbing gears. But, you know, low riders on hydraulics aren't my thing, but low riders on bags, you know, there's a special little spot in my heart for those. But some of them low riders, we seen some at Turkey. They had a car club come in, and, you know, the engraving and shit on them where it's like, you know,
Like, it was everywhere. Like, every piece that was visible was engraved somehow.
drive shafts,
Yeah.
axles, dashes, steering column.
Everything.
I mean, it's
Did they chrome the frame too?
Yes.
Did they really?
chrome links, chrome springs,
cow.
chrome.
But I give them a little bit of credit because you put all of that work in there, and you would think it'd
And they
be in a
cruised them
freaking
in.
glass box,
And they
and
cruised
it's
them
They
in.
cruised them in, hopping in at night,
Yeah. Oh,
at
fair
turkey
enough.
nights.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, they put all this work into it, but they still drove it, and then it sat outside all weekend.
so,
I can respect that, especially with as much money
yes.
that you know is in those.
So, do you want to tell the story of our turkey rod run debacle of the 54 this year?
Yeah, I'll tell it because I know it kind of hurts. But yeah. So of course, you know, turkey starting on Thanksgiving, we did the silly thing of trying to visit both sets of parents before we went out to Daytona. We're not doing that anymore. Sorry, we'll wave to you as we pass. But got this awesome looking Airbnb. The house, gorgeous. Outside of the house, gorgeous. Road, not so much. After driving the 2 hours from my mom's house to Daytona, well, it wasn't even in Daytona. Where was it?
Orange City.
Yeah, Orange City. Cute little place. But after driving that long, we get there in the dark, and the owner of the Airbnb had messaged me throughout the day and was like, oh, you know, here's the code to get in, and here's some directions. Oh, by the way, the road to get to the property is partially paved and dirt. And we were like, okay, not a problem. I mean, Caden, you've seen our dirt road.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when she said dirt road. I'm like, okay, not a problem. Yeah, no, there were such big rivets in this road. We had to kick it in a 4-wheel drive. His big jacked up truck with giant freaking tires, and had to kick it in 4-wheel drive. And behind that truck was our trailer with our 54. And it sat on the trailer the entire weekend. So we got to come home or go back to the Airbnb every time from going to the show or going to a night show, and looking in the backyard of the Airbnb and seeing our 54 on the trailer, knowing damn well it wasn't going to move until it was being pulled by the truck.
And, you know, there was a Rat Rods show at the Iron Horse Saloon. And, you know, we know a couple guys, and they're, oh, where's the 54? Oh, where's your car at? It's an Airbnb jail.
Jurassic Park.
You know, so that was kind of crappy, but we learned, and, you know, we're going to do better research. You know, it's all of this is just a learning thing. And, you know, so
We know as soon as we get the address to the Airbnb, we immediately Google that shit and see where it's at.
which is a shaming to know what, we do for work. And I didn't think of that. Should have. I stare at our property on the website all the time.
It's a good reference point.
So,
Well, I have a question for you.
okay.
So, obviously, like we went through the rundown of everybody's, how we all got into the car culture. But out of the umpteen some vehicles that you've had in the past, besides what is currently in our yard,
Okay.
what was your all-time favorite vehicle that you've owned or driven? Because you didn't own all the cars you drove.
I think I know the answer to that one, but I'm not gonna say anything.
I have an idea, but
That's a loaded question. That's such
That
a loaded
is
question.
because
That's like asking me my favorite. Like, you gotta put.
your favorite weather pattern.
Oh, great day. Basically, what we had earlier today.
the
Stormy
grumpy
and cool.
meteorologist.
Yep.
So, you should definitely get an Instagram with that name, by the way.
I'm gonna try. I don't have anything to post though.
You could post weather.
I could. It is
Whether or not.
Whether or not.
So probably my favorite car that I was involved in the build process of was probably an 82 S10 that me and my dad built. I was, I think like 9 or 10 when we started it. It was just a real simple, small block, good set of heads, turbo 400 or turbo 350. I don't even remember. But that truck, I learned sandblasting. I was small enough to stand in the engine compartment and beat the firewall back to fit a small block in it, because this was prior to the just open up the Jegs catalog and go get you some brackets. And, oh, yeah, a small block will fit in an S10. That was before they made all those nifty little brackets and adapters, and everything's so good, So it was a little 690 truck that we did a little bit of running around on the street with, but it was taken to our local track. It's no longer there because drag strips are dying by the day.
Unfortunately.
So it's kind of sad. Not to get too far off on a tangent on that question, but it's kind of sad that, people have tracks and people bitch that they're too loud or the lights bother them or this or that, and then the track's shut down. Well, those people are still going to race.
They just have to go to Mexico.
You just find you a lonely road, and conveniently, if you left here and you went to Lakeland, there's conveniently a nice strip of straight road in the dark with no cell service. So it just shortened the drive about half.
Things I didn't know.
Yeah. So then everybody bitches when there's accidents from street racers, or, my daughter, she was involved, and, street racing is, if done correctly, is dangerous. If it's done incorrectly, it's deadly. Not saying I've never made a pool on the street. I plead the fifth on street pools, but my current truck does all right.
While rolling black smoke.
Yeah, it does all right. So probably that truck would be my, that would be the one that, quote unquote got away. I tried to buy the truck back after it got sold and moved on, and I located the truck, and the gentleman that had the truck was willing to sell it back to me, but by the time I found it, it wasn't the same truck anymore. It was caged differently, or different in the way that I felt it should have been caged. He had wrecked it, which the way we painted it, we painted it like it was a drag car, no paint on the front clip. But that truck had 7 different colors. It was a very, very sweet.
Was that, not to interrupt, was that the one that your dad had taken into his current job at that time and gotten?
Yes, that paint job was affectionately known Overtime. My dad, which we'll have him on an episode, and he can kind of, or maybe he'll go into it, maybe he won't. He had taken a step back from working on big trucks and was just, doing collision with the local guy here. The gentleman is world famous in his own right. He has built some cool cars, Lee Krause. So they were just doing collision, and Mr. Lee would let my dad bring the truck in, and, they would body work it and stuff like that. Well, Lee had offered, it's a small guy, so he couldn't afford to pay Dad overtime. So instead of paying him overtime, he painted the truck. And there was absolutely no vinyl in that truck. And it was 7 different colors, 4 different graphic patterns. It was 69 Camaro Hugger Orange, black and white checker flags in a loop up to black and yellow checker flag fade around the back of the truck, and it had a lime green U-shape on both sides. Bet you can't guess who did the lime green. That was my color.
I've seen pictures of that truck, and that was badass.
And
downright badass.
It was buried in a S-load of clear, and there was no vinyl. It was not a typical drag car paint job quality. Usually drag cars are meant to look good at 60-60, or depending on how fast you are, it might be 60-160. 60 feet at 160 mile an hour is kind of what you're looking for in a drag car paint job. Nobody really gets close enough to show them off. But that S10 actually won 2 or 3 car shows. It was a little small tire truck, kind of before small tires became, you weren't putting big tires on stuff back then. So that one was probably, that's probably the one that hurt the most. But the guy that bought it or the guy that ended up with it once I found it, he had kind of ruined the allure of that truck.
Did it have a name?
That truck did not have a name.
Patchwork.
That truck did not have a name. But it was built with, it was built in a concrete driveway of, God rest his peace, or God rest his soul, a gentleman that's right here from local, with my dad and me, and Code 3 Racing, which I may have his son on the podcast. He's kind of trying to get, he's got the hot rod dream that he's trying to keep alive as well, and he's also trying to keep his dad's brand, Code 3. He was a cop. I believe Code 3 in police world is, speeding, running over, kind of in pursuit. But that man was a great guy, and, he had a 68 Camaro that unfortunately is, growing back to the earth because, certain circumstances of family after he passed, it probably will never see the light of day again, and that one's a hard pill to swallow because I literally have to drive by it every day. After that, I've driven some really cool cars for people. Drove a 69 Camaro for a guy, a little twin turbo LS setup. Drove that in Mexico for him a lot. 33 1850s, dual parachute. That car was pretty cool. My Sonoma that I was building when life happened and I had to get rid of everything that wasn't nailed down.
That's the one I thought you were going to say, to be honest with you. I forgot about the truck that...
The Sonoma never really got off the ground. I mean, I did a back half on it, and...
I guess maybe because it's more recent, but
yes.
you've mentioned that more
Yes.
than...
So...
I thought he was going to say the C10.
Well...
You notice the theme here, though?
The 82
Yeah.
C10 was... yeah.
I hear more about the C10.
And
than
that
anything
was
else.
that truck wasn't even supposed to be mine. My dad went and bought that truck, and we were driving home, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to drive it?" I'm like, "Yeah." And we were probably 10 minutes from the house, and he's like, "How do you like it?" I'm like, "Oh, it's nice, man. It'll do good for you." And he's like, "For me, it's for you. Happy birthday." And I was like, "What?" Like, okay. So, and that was also another GM Performance crate motor. It was supposed to be, it had a little 305 in it when we got it. That truck was really, really rare. It was a single rear wheel, half ton that originally came with a 6.2 diesel motor. But those motors, I don't know if the listeners are familiar with that motor, but it was either a 1 mile or a million mile motor. It was either really, really great or it really, really sucked. There was no in between. If you made it home, it would run forever. Unfortunately, a lot of those motors didn't make it home. There was actually guys that had set up shops that had 6.2s on one side and GM crate motors to drop in on the other side. And you would pull in, hand them a handful of cash. They would take the 6.2 out, put the 350 in, switch it all over to gas for you, and send you out the other side. That's how garbage those motors were. But that truck, somebody had already done a 305 in it, and it leaked oil out of every single orifice that had oil anywhere near it, including some that I don't even know how it got oil to, but it leaked oil out of those as well. Probably some that it created on its own. And for spring break, the plan, which never goes according to plan because, hot rod. The plan was to basically pull it into Code 3's shop, the race shop, and pull a motor. The GM crate motor was already on the stand, ready to go. We were going to pull a 305, put a small block in, or 350 in it, button it up, and I was going to go back to school the Monday after spring break. So 9 days later, I was going back to school with a truck that was going to look identical to what it looked like when it left. It was just going to sound a little nastier. Once we got the motor out, though, you can't just put a motor back in it. You have to shave the firewall and, that. And, I was just a broke high school kid, and my mom and dad bought the motor as a graduation gift because, I was given the option, do I want a new car or do I want a new motor? And nothing from 2008 really tickled my fancy, so we went with a new motor. And but once you're at a race shop, it's got a thump, so literally the biggest cam a stock converter would hold. And now it needs rocker arms, so Harlan Sharp roller rockers. Now it needs a carb, so 850 Dominator. Well, this is getting out of hand. So, and that was 700 R4 tranny, so that went in. and we couldn't get the exhaust on it in time. So it actually showed up to school the Monday after spring break with no exhaust on it on our race trailer behind our tow rig, and was on its way to the way to go get exhaust put on it, or what little exhaust we did put on it.
Just some representative.
I mean, it had mufflers, and they went mostly to the axle. I mean,
Technicalities.
it was by law, the exhaust was legal. State of Florida says that the exhaust note has to pass the axle or exit the body, and it dumped at the axle, so therefore all of the exhaust air went over the axle. None of the pipe was over the axle, but the air went over the axle. So that was and it was built, and Guy was a cop. So, I mean, he wouldn't have strayed me wrong.
You missed your calling as an attorney.
So,
The fine lines is what defines it.
Well, sometimes, it's they even say rule books are black and white. They're not. You got to play in the gray. I mean, the gray is what wins races. It's what makes cool stuff. I mean, a lot of people have looked at, even the 54 and like, well, that'll never work. Well, it does. And, just have a good time. And so that truck was the sad to see it go, but kind of loved to watch it leave because I wasn't in a good place to be able to continue, the upkeep. Hot rods are expensive. You got to be paying attention. And with the life that was going on, I didn't get to drive it as much as I wanted to. It was kind of built to piss people off. Wasn't really doing that. Obviously, before Ashley, I want to tonk. Well, I'm sorry, sweetheart. The exhaust doesn't turn down.
That's what cutouts are for.
No, there was no cutouts on that truck. And, you can only go to Walmart and set off every car alarm in the parking lot so many times before, other people think it's not fun. I mean, I always thought it was a blast, but other people didn't. So, and then, adulting, sell the truck, buy a house, hate the house, live in a camping trailer in your parents' backyard, buy another house that doesn't have a shop. But, hey, we're going to fix that because we're going to put a shop in the front yard.
Less than 3 weeks.
Next
than 2
week.
weeks. Next week.
Next week.
I keep forgetting that this year's almost over.
Yes.
Great day.
Bye-bye 23. Hello 24.
Yeesh. Starting to feel like 2020 and 2022 all over again.
Yeah.
That's 3 years doesn't exist.
Yeah. So, what would you like to accomplish this year, car-related?
I finally want to get something. I know I spend most of my time. I scroll Marketplace probably more than any other app on my phone. I don't even care about Facebook. I only have Facebook for Marketplace.
It's an addiction.
It
Same.
really is.
Same.
Like, those people who are addicted to like playing little slot machine games on their phone and stuff like that just to scratch that itch. I sit on. Which one of you does it?
I mean, we
Both.
both have games that we constantly play, but I'll sit there for hours just playing games on my phone because I'm not really big on scrolling through Facebook.
Yeah.
I feel like I was born in the wrong generation. I'm not a big social media scrolling through BS and looking at people from high school that I don't care about anymore.
Exactly right.
There's a reason why I have so little amount of people on my Facebook.
I'm not even on your Facebook.
His mom's not even on my Facebook, let's be honest.
Her mom's not on mine either.
Her friend request is still sitting on my Facebook, and I have yet to
I'm not
accept
that mean. Her mom didn't send me a friend list.
But I've occasionally, when I do open up Facebook because I get a notification for something or someone else sends me something on Marketplace, and then I do scroll for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then I go back to my game, and then I look over at him, and he's still scrolling till 2 o'clock in the morning. And next thing I know, we're looking at cars that are across the country.
I have a truck and a trailer, so.
Man, I don't know what it is, but Facebook Marketplace now is determined that I'll just look at anything. So now it's showing me stuff, not just like in Georgia or Alabama or Mississippi. No, we are in Illinois. We're in New Mexico, Texas, California, Oregon.
It's called a plane
Canada.
ticket and a
Let's
U-Haul.
go, bud.
None of it drives.
Let's
Plane
go.
ticket and a U-Haul.
Yeah.
Hey, we found one last night, man. You could fly in and drive the whole rig back. It was a truck, trailer, and a model, or a T-bucket.
Yeah.
Wow.
Truck, enclosed trailer, Model T, spare motor. Yeah.
What state was
Way
that?
out of our budget, but hey,
What was it, in Texas?
Texas or California.
One of the two.
Texas has some cool stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Just depends which part of Texas you gotta go to. 'Cause that's a big friggin' state.
yes, it is.
You can drive 12 hours in Texas and
All
still be in
right. So,
Texas.
Ashley,
Oh, jeez.
and I think I know what it is going to be, but what is your goal for automotive this year?
Strictly automotive.
Well, I mean, our whole life centers around automotive, so pretty much everything is automotive related.
Well, I mean, finish the. I shouldn't say finish because there's never going to be a finish on that car. But get the 32 up and driving
Okay.
before your birthday
For my birthday.
in September.
Well, you got
Because
to,
that's when the
yeah.
when the reliability run is. We have 9 months and counting.
See, I want to try and find something for the reliability too, but it's so hard to find something pre-65.
Well, I mean,
Buy an automatic, man. I'll
I
throw it in a
know.
54. You
I
could
know.
cruise it.
I thought she was going to
Don't
cruise
worry
that,
about
and you
the
were going to
scrape.
take the 32.
Don't worry about the scraping.
It'll scrapes with me in it.
Yeah, but if you're by yourself, it'd be less scrape.
It would be less scrape.
It's degrees of scrape. I'll teach you how to ride over speed bumps.
yeah,
Because even with the two of us in it, it doesn't like speed bumps.
no.
But that is why that car is affectionately named Michelangelo. Because it is the orange Ninja Turtle. And if you ride over a speed bump square, you will be turtling. So,
Is that the orange Ninja Turtle?
Hmm?
I don't know my Ninja Turtles.
Michelangelo is
it
the orange
Michelangelo?
Ninja. Yes.
Is he the one that's got the bow staff, or is it the one? Is that?
Oh, don't ask us those questions.
Oh,
We don't know.
So we know
we,
the names and the colors. We don't know the weapons.
we just
We
know
looked it up.
Michelangelo
Oh, we
is the
Googled.
orange one.
Okay.
At least that's all I know.
Yeah.
okay.
We went with orange Ninja Turtle and looked up and went, hey, Michelangelo.
Michelangelo.
All right. So,
just kinda
any other goals?
I mean, other than getting your shop up and having a plan to go somewhere where you have a bigger shop,
Well,
having that lined up somewhere.
yeah.
But anyway,
coming.
besides that, I mean, I don't know, my amateur picture taking, that's not going very far at the current moment.
Well, you got to do stuff.
I take the pictures. It's just I don't know anything else of what I'm doing, so I'm
YouTube.
failing.
YouTube.
It'll work. So mine is, obviously the 32 getting done. And the plans for that truck, we can go into that at another episode. Definitely want to get that done. And also, I want to meet some other people that, kind of get this hobby. It seems like, especially like the old stuff kind of seems to be a old man game. And the young guys just, and I don't know if it's a barrier to entry. I don't know, the cost of stuff has went ridiculous. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I agree completely with the host when he says that there's no Model A's out there that are worth 50 grand. But, it seems like everything has gotten out of hand. My dad, my parents recently were looking for a hot rod, And back when he was trading, in the early 2000s, a $10,000 to $15,000 hot rod was a superstar. I mean, and now, a $10,000 to $15,000 hot rod, you got to spend a little bit of money or a little bit of time to tweak it.
Might not even have a motor in it.
And I mean, he ended up with a 34. If you go on the Instagram, it's on there, the blue one. 34 Ford pickup. Runs good, but it's got little kinks and tweaks and stuff that he's got to make it his. I'm a bigger guy. Caden's a bigger guy. We don't
get in that car.
We don't necessarily fit where somebody from the 30s would have fit. They were 5 foot tall and 135 pounds.
So your mom can fit.
Yeah.
Being 5 foot.
Most of my family, it would fit them great. I have 3 of them.
We're not. I'm not, 6'4", but I'm a little bigger, hefty fella. But a lot of it, a lot of the things in the hot rod, you just kind of got to embrace the suck. I mean, it doesn't have AC, roll the window down.
260.
Yeah, 260. It doesn't have a radio. Well, if it's a long trip, throw a Bluetooth speaker in the center.
And that's if you can hear it over the exhaust.
You probably still aren't going to hear it, but, at least it's there. But, there's something awesome about, cruising. Whether your buddy's in another car or your old lady sitting next to you, and kind of teaching everybody, I enjoy working on stuff. I enjoy turning wrenches regardless what it's on, from the neighbor man that's putting bumpers and an S-load of lights in his wheel wells. And
that man really wants that truck to be like Times Square.
It's pretty close.
It is very close.
He lit up the whole road on the main road here. I was coming home from like Walmart or something, and I saw him from ways down. I was like, oh, that's bright. Oh, that's my neighbor. Yep, that is definitely my neighbor. Oh, yeah, I need my sunglasses now.
It's like that, Lord of the Rings? The beacons are lit. Gandalf calls for aid. He's the rolling beacon. It's like airport lights.
So what, and then we'll end this off. So what is one thing in the car community, car scene, I hate that term, but car culture that you wish was different or wish wasn't a thing?
That's a hard one.
I have it.
You go first, then.
I have it to a frickin' T. Okay. I mean, when we were at the car corral, when we went and brought the 54.
Okay.
And I'm already getting mad just thinking about it, okay? Like, this old man walks up.
This isn't the Tiffany blue thing.
No. This old man walked up high on his freaking horse. Okay. Saying, oh, why don't you restore that? Why don't you fix it up? Why? Well, because making it seem like it was wrong for us to keep Michelangelo just the way it is with a little bit of rat.
No, he started with $900.
Yeah. Because we had 9K written on the sign. And he said 900.
And I went, no, K is usually universal. That means 1,000.
Yeah.
And he's like, for that? He's like, it needs a complete restoration. And I'm like, why would you restore it?
It drove here.
Yeah.
And it turned into my dad having to kind of get between us because I wanted to rip a dude's head off. Cause
where was this?
At Webster.
At Webster.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And it was, I put it there, and if it sold, it sold. If it didn't, I'm looking for offers. Like, it's not, it wasn't firm. It wasn't, it was more just, hey, let me put it here. If I could free up some money, make the 32 build a little easier on the pocketbook. Yeah, let's do it.
But I think what really makes me upset about the situation is I will always remember that man's face. And I know With you beside me, I am a loudmouth because
She writes
nobody's going to
checks.
hurt me with you next to me. But that will now be imprinted in my brain as that asshole came up and said that. When we went to Market of Marion, we had 10, 15 old men walk up and say I remember when stories and praise you for how awesome that car is. But then this one dude has to ruin it.
And that's another thing, and I want to make sure that comes across perfectly clear from everybody sitting here to everybody to listeners, anything like that, to the 4 people that are going to listen to this, including the 3 sitting at the table. I don't care what you have. If a 94 Honda Civic is what you can afford to get into, and you're out cruising it and you're having a good time with your buddies, like, cool. If you find that barn find, that rusted sitting in the back of somebody's building that, they're not going to do anything with it. If it's a 30, if it's a 20, if you got I don't care what it is. Just do something with cars. Enjoy cars. Enjoy the time you spend with your buddies. You don't have to be a master mechanic. Sometimes zip ties are okay. Sometimes a roll of duct tape will get you to the house. I mean,
Hey, if they can fix an airplane with it.
hey, 200-mile-an-hour tape.
That's exactly right.
So, just have fun and enjoy the lifestyle, or enjoy this car lifestyle. And, that guy could have easily said, hey, this isn't my thing, but props to you for being a young cat that's trying to, do this. Because trust me, a restored 54 Chevrolet is not in my budget.
You got to embrace the younger generation going into it. I mean, I don't know how many kids we saw at Turkey that were walking up to all these cool, badass cars, whether they were clean, whether they were rat, whatever, and they were all excited about it. It's like, you got to embrace that. And because otherwise it's the culture will die if you don't embrace the younger generation into this.
See, that's crazy because kind of in the back of my head, that's what I was going to say, is that there seems to be a growing rift between, I'm going to just say, old money and that the old man, not necessarily your Corvette, but your old your New Balances and your khaki, your jorts.
Your jean shorts.
Your jorts. And then somebody will say 35 or younger. Like also there a lot of times it's the budget and the barrier to entry.
Well, you got budget constraints. You got, the new cars.
Or know-how. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
I can take
that's,
it apart. It ain't going to go back together.
There's a lot of take it apart mechanics.
It's so much fun to take it apart.
It is. When you don't have the responsibility of putting it back together.
Well, and that comes down to, I mean, you got, if you're interested in this car, this obsession, I mean, it will take over your life. I know that me and Ashley have met other couples, and you come to realize that your hobby has turned into an obsession when they're like what do you do for fun? And it's like, we go to car shows, we cruise,
This is it.
and they're like, like anything else? Or like, and you ask them, what do they? We go to concerts, and we like to go through
What's a
long
concert?
walks in the park. And it's like, what? No, like,
I'll go for a long cruise.
my car runs. Like,
The thing that gets me sometimes too, and I don't know, maybe it's because I don't have a life. I never had a life, but I've been so involved in this culture with you that when we go to pick up parts or we go to pick up a car or whatever, and the wife comes out, I told him he needs to sell this because we need to make room. What? Why? This is we're here to buy it, so I'm not going to say much, but
I'm not going to talk you out of it.
no, you got our dream garage behind you with plenty of room.
Yeah.
Why are you selling it? I don't know. And maybe it's all a joke, and the wives aren't really telling the husbands to sell their stuff.
Well,
but
and I think a lot of it is the females, like you started this episode with. The females are kind of, they never were a part of it, so they don't think they can be a part of it, where I kind of made it very, very clear when we first started the relationship that, if you want to spend time with me, it's probably going to be in the garage. It's probably going to be laying under something that's leaking something on you.
You will learn the taste of coolant.
Like that,
it's sweet.
It is very sweet.
It is very sweet. It's no longer hazardous, though. They took out the
Really?
glycol. Yes.
Oh.
You cannot kill anything or anyone with antifreeze anymore. Good to know. Been feeding it.
I have no comment. I'm trying to come up with one, but I can't.
But,
I didn't know glycol was the reason. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
yeah, it was the glycol. That's what made it suit. It's also in Jell-O.
How does that make sense?
Exactly.
Is it a concentration thing? It's probably a concentration
Probably.
thing.
So, that, and again, like, I don't care what you got. If lifted trucks are if that's where you want to be at, cool. Big rims and little tiny tires.
Rubber bands.
I'm not the biggest a fan of them, but hey, if that's what's gonna get you out riding around with your buddies, or riding around with your old lady, or riding around by yourself, that road will talk to you. I've been through a lot of avenues of cars and motorsports, with the bikes, and also have a Harley for sale if anyone.
Just plug that.
Everything is pretty much for sale besides the 32 and the Ram. Unless you're really interested, then we can talk about that too.
Anyone wants a mom car?
Yeah,
That's upside down.
the car's not upside down.
No.
But yeah, I mean, like, and
Hey, I do have gap insurance, so if it were to happen,
Hey,
not on the podcast. I mean, I get only 4 people's gonna listen, but still. So basically,
everything
like,
is theoretical.
basically just get out and cruise and work on stuff and figure it out. And if you come to a car show and hopefully this grows and we can make something of it. If you see us out and you have a question, ask. I look forward to Caden finally finding that diamond in the
2024.
rough.
2024. I don't know what it's gonna be. It's got to be in 24. I've been looking too much.
So
I have faith between
or he
both
could-
of you and your Facebook scouring.
or he could just buy a 54. Saying.
You can't push it on him, baby.
He can even keep it here on concrete.
And make payments.
Oh wait, you have concrete.
Yes, I have a 10x10 concrete
Hey,
pad in the
that's-
middle of a carport.
That's big enough.
It's not even in the middle of the carport. It's like adjacent to the carport, just far enough out of it.
It's mostly out of the carport to the right side of the carport.
It
Doesn't make sense.
It's carport adjacent.
It's Yeah, I change the oil on it
Hey.
sometimes.
But I mean, it sits in the grass here.
Yeah.
Well,
At least
hold
it would
on.
be undercover at
Wait,
your place.
Hold on. Caden had
Oh yeah.
one of the oldest cars that.
I did for a little while.
Yeah.
For a little while, a long while.
Caden.
That was like 6 months.
Caden had a 40 Chevrolet pickup
The
truck
grass was
Most of
starting to grow.
that was
yeah, that patch
also
was there for a while.
Yeah.
that was also trying to grow back to the ground.
Yes, the cats loved it.
So
lizards.
yeah, and that was
And that's the car I got my very first hubcap from.
yes, that is
Where is that hubcap?
the dirty one.
I don't even see. Is it behind the other one? Probably.
No, it's under that black bag.
Oh, okay.
I have to really. It's got dirt in it.
Yeah.
I have
Take
to
some barkeeper's friend and
go and
just.
scrape. That's not
No,
allowed in my house.
we don't do barkeeper's friend.
No?
What else kill my dog?
I thought that was borax.
Nope.
That was barkeeper's friend.
Barkeeper's friend.
So anyway,
On a lighter note.
that was one of the 4 cars that I bought and sold this year.
Yep.
Or bought. That's the only one I sold. I'm not a very good salesman.
I
Well,
mean, technically,
I'm not good
speaking,
at selling them.
And we just saw that car pop back up on Facebook
We did.
with a giant. What was it, a big block with a blower?
Yeah, the guy is.
But that wasn't the chassis that it was
No.
on when we
No.
sold, because he sold the chassis.
He sold the chassis.
Yeah.
Didn't you tell me he didn't even take it off the trailer?
Yeah, he
when
didn't even
took
take it off the
pictures?
trailer. He posted it right. You know,
What, he slapped
he
some
just
new
flipped
wheels
the
on
body off of it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even put wheels on it. I mean, it
it?
still
Did he
had the-
just air him up?
no.
Oh.
It was still sitting on the tire strapped down the way we strapped it down before he left. He literally
that
just took
wretched
the
day.
body off.
Efficiency.
Yes. But you know it's looking like it's going to be a pretty cool ride. He's claiming Turkey Rod Run again. He's claiming that it's going to be done for Turkey Rod Run in November for Thanksgiving. So that'll be a cool ride. We'll get to see it. The truck that we had named Fancy, and he's definitely by the motor combo that I seen in it today. He is definitely living up to that name. So at this point, I think we're gonna close out, and anything that y'all would like to see or hear or want more information on or anything like that, just put it in the comments and like it, share it, and also the Instagram will be in the description of the podcast. Anything else, guys?
I don't think so.
No, I think this was a good first
First
episode, pilot, whatever they call it.
All right. Till next time, drive your shit. Later.
Peace.
Y'all be good.